You have to have a sense, I think, with the Christian worldview that there is an integrity to creation that
Hmm.
even if we can't fully know things from it, that we should expect for it to be disclosive of the God who created
Right.
it. And to be fair to the new atheists, there are plenty of people in the Christian tradition who are uncomfortable with, I guess, what we're describing is kind of what is the word? It's late here and I'm forgetting it. Natural. It's kind of like something like natural theology, right? So the sense that we can come
Yes.
to know
Right.
some things about God, well, without revelation. And the reformers in particular had a lot of discomfort with that idea because they wanted to say that actually the revelation is this moment of great interruption and disclosure, and
Hmm.
that actually you need that. It's not just kind of this act of human reason to get to God. But at the same time, they would also be quite happy to say, but that the world is God's book, and that we read something of God in it.
Hmm.
And there's a former, unrelated, this is kind of a tangent, but a former mentor here at St. Andrews has an article called "We Are All God's Vocabulary," and I always like that kind of image that we are created, and so there is something in us and in this world that we can read of God.
Hmm. Maybe that's where the distinction, which goes back before the Reformation, obviously, between general and special revelation can come in.
Mm-hmm.
When we open the pages of Scripture, we're reading special revelations, that inbreaking into history. Whereas when we look around us and see a tree, right, we're experiencing general revelation, which by itself can't lead us to all the important truths of salvation or about God. But it's interesting to me the way they mesh, the way that special revelation constantly reaches for general revelation and says, well, see the the foxes, see the birds, see the vines on in the vineyard, see the tree planted by the waters, see how the deer thirst for those waters. All that is like, look and see, because there's wisdom to be disclosed here. I just find that so cool, the way they mesh together. There's one particular instance in your life where this happened to you, and you talk about it in the book, and it involves a cherry tree outside of your bedroom that taught you about being human. Could you tell us that story?
Yes. So this particular cherry tree and I met the year after I had finished my PhD. And finishing a PhD is just I've met like one or two people who kind of peaceably finished their PhD, but for most people, I think it's a very harrowing kind of Dantean passage
Most
through
people describe
purgatory.
it a lot like a birth. It's like labor
Yes,
in a
which
way.
I also talk about in the book. Birthing a piece of marble, I believe, was my specific mixed metaphor. But so I was just kind of exhausted, and various things just happened in my life that just left me kind of depleted. But I got my job at Plow. I got a house, and outside that house, in my little room, was this cherry tree. And when I arrived, it was kind of late autumn, so it wasn't particularly beautiful. In fact, it was actually fairly bare. But throughout the year, I watched it transform, and it went from this kind of stripped down, slender tree to growing buds in like February, and then in March. The March was the most amazing. It literally looked at night like it glowed in the dark because of the
Right.
white blossoms. And then in the summer, it was just lush and green, and then in the autumn, it turned beautiful colors and began to drop its leaves. And having the experience of watching that cherry tree kind of go through its transformation reminded me, or maybe disclosed to me, revealed to me, that humans are like this too. We have seasons that actually fit into each other. That we have winters where we just really don't accomplish much, and where what we are meant to do is on some level to persist and survive and let our roots grow deep.
Hmm.
And that those seasons are followed by seasons of bursting, blossoming beauty with new life and lots of potential, and seasons where there's great fruit. And that all of these kind of seasons are a part of what it is to be a human being. And I think that was driven home to me particularly because I felt like I followed the course of the tree. Because when I got there, it was winter and I was very tired. And then as it kind of gently began to have leaves, I felt like I also was kind of gently coming back to life after that long season of exhaustion. So, so the cherry tree modeled to me something of what it is to be a human, which is to have seasons and to not feel guilty about having those seasons, but actually to embrace them and think about, what does a cherry tree need in each season, and what do you need in each season? And to know that human beings are not like computers. I expect my computer to act the same way every day. I really want it to.
Right.
But humans don't necessarily. They are more like the cherry tree, who has 4 very different outfits depending on the time of the year and 4 very different tasks to accomplish.